Hello to everybody watching and listening, and welcome back to some more Mechabellum. Today I think is going to be a great day. And the reason for that is I have a whole host of replays and I no longer have videos scheduled. And on top of that, I am somewhat on vacation. And when I say vacation, I mean more time to play all the games I like. Like for example Mechabellum. And, well, I have some really good replays, so let's get started. I'm facing up against a Jamodon, and I'm going in with Supply Specialist, Phoenix, Crawler, and of course Fangs. And my opponent is Aerial Specialist with Sledges, Fangs, and let's see what he will add on. I think it was Arclights, but I'm not entirely sure. We'll see, we'll see. Anyway, my MMR is also looking pretty good. Like, I'm sitting at a bit below. Okay, no, he's adding more fangs. Just to show it for a moment while this is running. I am looking at about 1600 MMR, which is like 100 more than I'm used to. So I've really been making some progress in the game. Now, there isn't much for these phoenixes to kill other than, of course, the sledges. But the phoenixes, if they don't die, they will win the round regardless. Overall, however, I'm not sure how this first round went. A lot of these replays are quote-unquote old. That is to say, they happened not much after the last patch. I'm pretty sure I get steamrolled the first round, because I don't have any efficient chaff clear, and my opponent just has too many fangs. Yep. So that is basically the story of this turn. The fangs kinda just roll over my phoenixes. And my opponent gets to start with Sledgehammers and Fangs, which is kind of a template for everything you could possibly want. Next up, Early Tech Specialist or Haste Module. I would be looking at both of these things, but I take the Tech Specialist because I like Eco. And what would I put this on, really? I mean, I could have gone for some Mustangs, but then you would have to also buy the Mustangs and you would have to buy range, so that they still stay out of range of the sledgehammers. I instead opt for, as you can see, some good old Stormcallers here to get rid of the fangs. My opponent is still thinking, apparently. Let's see what he comes up with. Let's maybe accelerate this a bit. Hello? Oh, no. Now he chose, Extended Range Vulcan. In my mind, I don't even consider that card. But he's going for more chaff, crawlers more specifically, late crawlers. Alright. It must be at 1.0 for my own satisfaction. But the game... now. Anyway, the Stormcallers are completely obliterating the fangs. And they're also not bad against these sledgehammers. They're hitting pretty well. The crawlers are getting hit a good bunch as well. That said, that still is not insane, but for this stage in the game, a very healthy amount of chaff. And yeah, even the Stormcallers could not kill all of these chaff units. So what ends up happening is I get steamrolled by chaff again. Next round, Heavy Arclight would be an option, potentially. Deployment Specialist also absolutely amazing. I think it's like, what would I do with Extended Range Steel Balls? Same for my opponent. And Improved Melting Point, why? I guess I could have looked at this card, but that Vulcan has already 35% decreased health, so you don't really need that much firepower to kill it anymore. My opponent is going for the Mobile Beacon, and he can level a bunch of stuff. Is that your final position for those those Mustangs? I guess I don't think so. Anyway, we both got the Deployment Specialist, not much of a surprise. Oh yeah, right, I remember now. He was kind of experimenting with that. Basically, this is what you would normally use crawlers for, and I think we get demonstrated why this is normally crawlers that are doing this. I'm deciding to go into some sledges in order to have something in front of my units that actually tanks and helps me not simply get steamrolled by chaff. They are also decent enough at chaff clear. They have been nerfed recently, which I think was well deserved. Sledges were insanely powerful. Now, can I get this to 1.0, please? There it was. Anyway, this is not exactly how it's supposed to go. First of all, crawlers cost half of a Mustang squad. They are also more numerous, though that is not really a big issue. They also, I think, have more health. Now suddenly it does become more viable. And lastly, they don't stop unless something is in melee range, basically. That is why you usually don't see this with ranged units, you see it with melee units that don't stop until something is super close. And all of a sudden it's looking a lot better for me. Reinforcements. I still have to wrap my head around these actually costing something. My opponent is taking hackers, and I think I was going for eco because nothing here really fits me. I think I'm taking the Sabertooth and just selling it. Yep. Oh no, I wasn't selling it. I was trying to ride it for a turn, if nothing else. No, I did sell it. Back and forth. I've also started selling Phoenixes, because why would I still use Phoenixes? That happened last turn already. And I'm dropping the forts. I have been on an absolute fortress enjoying spree throughout the game, I have to say. Like, fortresses are... I have previously talked about where the threshold is to familiarize yourself with something. And I was talking about how that threshold, for me at least, is you can look at a board after you've dropped 2 sets of a unit, and you look at the state of the board after you dropped those 2 units and you still lost, and you can say, well, I know the answer, it's just dropping more of that. That, for me at least, is where I consider the threshold of, I now know this unit and I know how to use it. And for forts, recently, I have achieved that barrier as far as I can tell. Because I can drop forts and say, yeah, I just need more fortress and more attack and I'm going to win it. In many cases. I'm not always right. So my opponent is basically going for nothing but chaff, chaff clear, and hacking. And I have a lot of chaff and not that much to hack in the grand scheme of things. These tanks, however, are extremely exposed. The Phoenixes suddenly actually have a purpose in life. And right now, with the Vulcans clearing the chaff and the hackers hacking my tanks, this is actually not looking all too hot for me on the side with the Vulcan. However, the other side is just plain pushing through. Now, much depends on this thing getting hacked, and there's so much chaff in front of it that I think it will. However, on the other sides, I guess there still is a bunch of tanks to cover. Now this tower falls, and that is basically disaster. There's nothing really left other than the Phoenixes, and there's some Mustangs to clean them up. The other fort also gets turned by the hacker, and I take a decent amount of damage. Since hacked units only contribute a quarter of health damage, it's no longer catastrophic amounts of damage.